Hey, friends, we're in the studio. We're back for another episode of the Power Moves Health Marketing Podcast, where we always are discussing all the things to help you grow and scale in your health business. So I have a clinician entrepreneur in the studio today, a buddy of mine, Dr. Jonathan Theis, who I've known. It's been a long time, actually. It's like we're pre-COVID. How long we've known each other. And I've, we worked together on some projects with marketing and his dental practices, and I've watched him go from one location to multiple locations to exiting that and doing everything entrepreneurial. And a lot of us, as many of us know, which is why a lot of you are listening to this show, is that, you guys, you got your medical degrees and your doctorates, and you didn't take any business classes. You guys have no clue, usually, on what it takes to really have a thriving and scaling health business. And Dr. Jonathan Theis, he's got a lot of cool things cooking. So, I don't want to tell him. You tell him. What are you up to? Who are you? What's up?
Well, thank you, Lauren. Yeah, I've been on the business side of things for quite some time now. I was a clinician for, like wet-handed dentist for about 10 years. And then, I was with a group of my buddies who are all, dentists, and we kind of grouped our offices together and created a small DSO. Right around 2018, I had the opportunity to take that over on the business side of things. And that's something I was always interested in. So I jumped in and, we grew that and, I kind of pulled it out of the fire. As far as, profitability goes, and we ended up, selling it to private equity. From there, I got a taste of corporate dentistry. I became VP of operations, overseeing the state of Pennsylvania. And then after we kind of integrated, we actually created a subdivision that was focused on full arch. And I took over operations of that. I built the sales department, and we scaled that out from, one office to 9 offices up and down the Eastern Seaboard. I exited from that in October and, kind of reinvigorated my entrepreneurial spirit. And I started a brand new company. It kind of spurred off of, I was building a consulting firm, and to consult doctors on full arch, the business of full arch. I'm part of another organization that trains the doctors surgically. They spend, hundreds of hours and, tens of thousands of dollars learning the procedure, but don't understand that the business side of it is actually completely different than GP or even like your referral based businesses with specialists. And so,
Oh, real quick, before you go too far, because a lot of our audience, they may not actually know what a full arch is. That's like our regular day-to-day language. But for those that don't know, full arch is this beautiful transformational process where individuals who need all of their teeth, usually a row of teeth, completely replaced. And it's super specialized, right? So not all dentists know how to do this procedure. It's very high end. When you say it's a very it's a specialist. Like, usually specialists are those that are very well trained to do the procedure, right? So,
yes, it's the Rolls Royce of,
Yes.
replacing all of your teeth. These
Yes.
patients come to us, they get all of their teeth removed, they get implants placed, and they get permanent teeth put in, either the same day or next day. And these are teeth that, return them back to nearly 100% chewing ability.
Mhm.
And so it's something that, gives people a whole new lease on life. They felt like hopeless before, dentures not fitting, can't eat the foods they love. And with full mouth implants, that changes the game. And so that was something that we got into, I would say right around about 2019. And, we found success with it and kind of really jumped on that, and kind of helped create that business model for our company. So, it's super exciting, and it's something that's gaining a lot of popularity in the world of dentistry. I'd probably go as far as to say is it's the fastest growing sector within dentistry these days.
Mhm.
And so I'm part of a course that trains these doctors on live patients down in Guatemala called ORCA. And it's a very popular, very, It's growing very, very fast in popularity. But in my time there, I've seen so many doctors come in and they're learning this procedure and they're so jacked up and excited to offer to their patients, but they actually don't know the whole business side of it. And so that's where I got into thinking, well, I could really consult these doctors and help them with their
Mm.
businesses and help them actually use these new skills to have a successful practice. And from there, I also wanted to have them have the same type of advantages that we had as a larger group, with the negotiating with vendors and getting great pricing, so that they could fit into particular financial models that I was going to be teaching them. And from there, the idea of a full arch specific buying group, this would be like a group purchasing organization,
Mhm.
GPO, but specifically tailored to full arch doctors, because there's particular things that these doctors utilize that other doctors don't, like full arch, full mouth implant specific labs. And they do a lot of sedation, so a lot of them have anesthesia supplies, or they use third party anesthesia. They use a lot of pharmaceuticals. There's implant companies that are specific for this type of procedure because they have these crazy implants called pterygoids and zygomatics, and that's
Yeah.
when the patient doesn't have enough bone and you've got to actually go into their cheekbones or into the pterygoid bone, which is back behind the jaw, in order to try to find a place to get your implants in, if
Mhm.
there's no bone left up top. And so, all these very specific things and these vendors that tailor to this, I end up putting together into this buying group, and then actually became so popular, I actually pivoted, and that's become my main focus now is the full arch buying group.
Yeah.
And so, right now we have over 130 members. It's growing very, very quickly. It's super exciting. But basically, what I wanted to do was help private practice doctors be able to compete with a lot of the large groups that are out there that are moving into this industry, allowing them to be able to be competitive with pricing, get them everything that they need to be successful, whether that's the pick of all the top vendors and getting great pricing on that, or whether it's what's the newest software advances out there, what's the different resources that are going to help their business, whether it's staffing or social media management
Yeah.
or marketing, or you name it. There's sales training. That's a big thing with this type of business model, having a properly trained sales team. So having all those resources built in, and then what I did was kind of add in the coaching part as part of that, so that these docs, when they become members, they can book time with me, and I can go over what their business is currently doing and kind of give them advice and walk them through on what they need to do step by step to get themselves set up properly
Mhm.
and have a successful business after they've spent all this time and money learning how to do this new procedure.
Yeah, that's gotta be so cool, and you're building community too, and there's so much power in proximity when you're talking about just, people that are all kinda on the same mission, they're building similar practices, all wanna know what's the latest with AI, what's the latest, implant company that you're using, like, I bet, like, it just makes, scaling so much easier when you just have, someone you can call or a group that is kinda just all moving in the same vibration, so it's super
Absolutely.
cool.
Well, there's a ton of groups out there right now, like, and everyone has these WhatsApp groups, and so
Mhm.
it creates a little community. Um, Many of them are really focused on the clinical aspect because there's so many questions about running into complications and different techniques and things like that. And ours has grown very, very popular very quickly, actually, because ours is really focused on the business. And so you've got all these private practice owners, that are actually, finally together with a bunch of other practice owners, and they're talking about who they're using and what's working and what didn't work for them, and kind of sharing their experience on the business side of things. And so that's made it a very, very active and popular thing.
I love it, I love it. So, you've got a bunch of other things going on though too. So you mentioned you've got ORCA, that's your business where it's a dental implant training in Guatemala?
Yeah, so that's live patient, surgical training and
Mhm.
prosthodontic training. So we have 3 levels. We've got level 1, which is our advanced prosthodontic and digital workflow training. That kind of takes you into knowing, how to plan the cases, these type of
Hmm.
full mouth implant cases, how to actually, do the whole workflow, the digital workflow for it, how to troubleshoot it, how to plan for different types of complex cases so that you can consistently get a great result for these patients, and they're super happy. And really, and that's kind of the start of understanding how to do the surgery, is understanding how to actually restore one of these cases. And then we've got level 2 and level 3. Level 2 is your live patient surgical training. It's like 4 days of grueling, surgical training on live patients where you learn how to do full arch surgeries and be proficient in them. And then our level 3 is actually done in ORs, where we have the most advanced cases, people with severe
Hmm.
atrophic maxillas where they have no bone, and we
Okay.
know how to do those crazy zygomatics and pterygoid implants. And surgeons walk out of there feeling very, very comfortable,
Yeah.
ready to bring that to their practice. So that's been something that's very popular, very exciting.
Yep.
And then on top of that, I've got the buying group.
So they
And
funnel kind of right into the buying group, probably.
it
Like, do
it works. It works in conjunction,
yeah.
It's all the same network of people, and,
Hmm.
dentistry is a small world. We all know each other, and then, full mouth implants is even smaller.
Sure. Sure.
So it's even more niche, and so everybody knows each other, and so, yeah, it's a very easy, intro into the buying group and to get people involved and help them out, help their businesses.
Absolutely. There was one thing that you decided to do, and I thought that this is a super, super, super cool idea that I have not seen. Because what some of the listeners may not know, when Dr. Theis is talking about the Rolls Royce of teeth, literally it is like as much as a Rolls. Like, well, I'm exaggerating, but you're talking about a procedure that usually people are, going into their 401k of, or using loans at times if they don't have access to, you know, upwards of $30,000, sometimes more or less, it depends, to get this procedure done because it is a life-changing procedure that, as far as we know, lasts for a lifetime. So, people now with the cost of credit being so high and, a lot of uncertainty, sometimes it's difficult for doctors to get people to afford, the procedure even as much as they need it. So you have created a really unique solution to try to like bridge the gap between, the consultation and the patient actually moving forward. So tell us about that. It's super
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Well, so, you know, uh, I spent many years in doing this and building offices, and you spend all this money attracting the patients in. You spend all this time educating them on what this procedure can do for them. They get all excited. They want this done, and when the moment comes to actually pay for it, they end up getting declined for financing, and there's many reasons why that could be. And nowadays, with it being even more difficult and there being increasing of the interest rates, we're seeing in the industry even more declines, and so that's become a pain point and a point of frustration for many docs. They've got all these patients that want to get the procedure, but they just can't get the financing, and they don't have tens of thousands of dollars sitting around in the bank account ready to move forward with something like this. And so what we did was create a company that helps these patients improve their credit. And so, like, there's courses out there, there's companies out there that will help you improve your credit. But what we've done is created a course that doctors can give away to their patients for free. So, the patient is sitting in there, and, they're excited to get the case done. They want to move forward, and then they get declined. And at that point in the sales process, those patients feel hopeless. And
Mhm.
as it stands right now, there's not anything doctors can really do for them besides refer them maybe to someone that they'll have to pay, to help them improve their credit. or they'll put them on like a drip campaign, and every, month or so, they'll send out an email in hopes that they've miraculously turned their credit around.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
what we've done is created an online course that the patients take. It's a whole video series that educates them on their credit and gives them a step-by-step process on exactly what to do to remove negative items and errors and different things that are causing them to have a lower credit score. And also, we provide templates, letters, like
Mhm.
prepaid templates and letters that they send, and when to send them for each step in order to get the best results. And this kind of gives the patient a roadmap on exactly how to get, from A to B and get their credit to a point where they can come back in and get accepted. And the cool thing about it is the doctor can give it to the patient for free. It's simply like a link, and it takes them to a dashboard where all of this stuff exists. And that dashboard is branded to the doctor and their office, the one that gave them this opportunity and got them all excited.
That's cool.
Kind of keep them locked in to understand, hey, this is the mission, and this is why we're giving this course. We know you want this, and you can follow along these steps. And so, it's something that doesn't exist. And I think it's something that can be extremely beneficial to really help doctors and patients alike. And I think the other cool thing about it too is that, you know, helping a patient understand, educate them on their finances and on their credit, doesn't just help their get teeth. It helps them in their life.
In life, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it's a win for everybody.
I think that's super cool. So you got all these different business resources for doctors, and I hope they're taking advantage of it and seeing results, obviously, and getting smarter with their business. But why do you think doctors are just, such like the learning curve is so steep? And it's interesting. Most of you guys either go into corporate, a corporate dental like a Aspen or something like that, or you immediately just open a business. And it's like what is it? Why are there so many, doctors out there, do you think, that are struggling, with the business stuff? What do you think is up with that?
They don't get any education on it. There wasn't a single business course that was offered at dental school.
Is it still like that?
As far as I'm aware,
That's
yes.
wild.
I mean, and if they added anything, it's like
Probably one class or,
maybe one class. Yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely lacking. And then when you get out of dental school, all you're trying to do is put into play all these new skills that you've learned and kind of get yourself up to speed. And then as you start doing that, there's so much more that you need to learn to become a successful dentist just on the clinical side.
Mhm.
And you're constantly learning, constantly honing your skills, and then you're in the chair. There's really no time to learn business. There's very little time. And, a lot of times, doctors jump into business and they do not have a firm grasp of what they're doing. And they end up having, they end up making mistake after mistake after mistake,
Mhm.
kind of getting that hard education. And it takes many years and sometimes many practices before they kind of get it right. And it's a shame. I think that that this definitely something that should be taught, and paired with the rest of the education for these doctors, because many of these doctors are going to go out and start their own practice, and if you
Yeah.
don't have the basic foundation of knowledge, you're going to find it to be a hard road. I know I did. I waited about 4 or 5 years before I jumped out and started my own practice. And
Mhm.
I had to put in long, long hours because I had to make up for the time when I wasn't in the chair to learn and apply what I've learned to the business. And so I remember like the first like 4 months, my first practice ownership, I was working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, because anytime I
Yeah.
wasn't working on patients, I was trying to learn everything I could about the business so that I could kind of get my business in shape as fast as possible before I ran out of money.
Right. Right, right. Yeah, that I just see that as a, as a symptom across, different specialties too. It's not just in a dentist alone. What is one of the biggest pain points that you see based on like your members, like your collective? Overall, what is their biggest pain point?
Well, so, with members in the buying group, many by the time you get to doing full mouth implants, you've been a dentist a while. This
Okay.
is like an advanced thing, so you've kind of got things figured out. You probably already have, a successful or at least,
Profitable.
semi-successful
Mhm.
GP office, and now you're
Mhm.
looking to add that in, and so now you're, like, trying to learn a whole new ball game from the clinical and from the business standpoint again, and the main thing that they're always looking to do is, "How do I get these patients, into the chair? How do I find the patients that are out there?" Right? Because these type of patients that you're trying to attract are the ones that don't go to the dentist.
Mhm.
These are the ones that haven't seen a dentist in 20 years and they come in and go, "I know my mouth's a mess. It's finally time for me to take care of it." And so they're not the ones that are on the radar of a normal dentist. And so you've got to attract them in. So marketing is always a big pain point, but then actually understanding how marketing works and the
Yeah.
management of it is where they're falling short, right? Because you can hire a company to do your marketing, but if and there's great marketing companies and there's
Mhm.
not so great marketing companies.
Mhm.
But if you don't understand how that marketing works, how the funnel works, and how to track and manage it so that you can look at it, understand the numbers and manage it, you won't know if you've got a good company or a bad company. And then the other part that doctors run into is that you could have a great marketing company, but half of it's on you as well. What you're supposed to do with those leads and how and like your team is supposed to be trained on
Mhm.
sales, your different processes that you have once you get that lead. And so you might even have a great marketing company, but you don't even know it because you're dropping the ball as soon as they're handing you all the leads. And for you, it looks like you're dumping money in and you're not getting anything out of it. And so that's a lot of the education that I'm giving these docs. And there's plenty of other stuff that I teach them on operations,
Sure.
on profitability and things like that. But the one that they come to me most often is like, I don't understand this whole marketing thing. And a lot of times, they don't even have a proper sales process set up. They don't have anyone that's trained on sales and how to actually like connect with the patients emotionally. And, they just don't have all the pieces in place. And now that there's more and more doctors coming into this field of dentistry, I told you it's one of the fastest growing sectors of
Mhm.
you're seeing increased competition.
Mhm.
So you've got to be on the ball or else you're not going to be able to compete with the guys that are already out there doing it that know exactly what they're doing and have been doing it for years now.
Yeah, yeah. No, the competition is real. And there's more and more players entering into the market, some that are skilled, some that are not. And it's just making it, I know, it's making it very difficult for consumers to make a buying decision because there is a lot of noise and things on the internet and ads. As the dental implant market has become more competitive, what have you seen as, like, a trend or something that's working for getting new traffic for dental implants? Have you seen anything different or new lately?
Well, I mean, obviously, and this plays right into you, Lauren, is that, with the advancing with AI coming
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
and this is something, and I talked to you about this when we spoke about Cortex,
Mhm.
like a couple weeks ago. It was an idea that I had as well with my other business partner, and we just at the time I had so many balls in the
I know, like, we do you need a SaaS company now too? Like,
And I
keep
was like,
adding
we just
on.
didn't have the bandwidth to put it together. And so when you
Yeah.
came to me, you're like, "Hey, I'm like, I'm like, this is exactly what we were talking about."
Mhm.
So, before, you've got to either have a large team in your office to
Yep.
handle all those leads, or you third party that to a call center, and whether that's, in the States or out of the States.
True.
And whoever you use has to be trained. They have to understand. They had to be trained on sales. They have to be trained on your sales process. They have to be trained. They have to be trained and educated on the procedure,
Mhm.
on the costs, on the different options. There's a lot they need to know, and then they have to. And then one of the advantages in a competitive market is how quickly do you respond. And if you've got people, like actual people working for you, how much coverage do you have, right? Like,
Mhm.
guy that has someone that can answer 24/7 and on the weekends is gonna beat the guy that has, someone answering from
Right.
9 to 5 during the week,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
that's where AI has really, started to open this up where you've got, the ability to have someone, that can answer questions, that's trained, and knows everything about, your practice particularly, and can answer those questions and get that patient scheduled and respond immediately. And so that's huge, and that's a big competitive advantage, I think.
Yeah, too. Also, I would say, something that doctors are gonna have to start doing or just in terms of getting out of their comfort zone is they actually do need to really market themselves. I know paying for cold traffic on Google and Facebook, you can do that, but I think a lot of times they skip over the importance of having an organic presence. And, that is on the social media platforms and, having various ways for people to opt in, like, not what I'm finding is not everybody's ready to make a buying decision when they land on your website, and most of the time, most dental offices or most health businesses don't have anything for you to do other than make an appointment. So, what if I'm not ready to make an appointment? Is there anything I can watch? Is there anything that I can read? Do you have some sort of like digital magazine where I can do like a flip book and I can look through all of your before and afters? Like, give me some options, help educate me. And I would like to encourage, and I'm happy to share this with your full arch buying group. They got to be present on multiple sources. Like, you can't just rely on one thing. And if you have referrals, figure out how to get more from your referrals. Like, I just feel like some of those steps are missed, and it makes it hard to continuously grow.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that I always talk to the docs about is one of the things that made us most successful was our focus on the social media aspect
Facebook,
and
you are
building
crushing it.
and building local authority.
Mhm,
We invested heavily in video content
mhm,
creation, and we took kind of, two different approaches to it. One was, we wanted to build authority for the doctor in our area, and we did that by creating educational content that
mhm,
we would put out into the community for free so that, we're not asking anything of them, we're just educating, right? And when you're educating and you're not trying to make a sale, that
mhm,
puts you at a level of authority, okay? And then 2, we would also then focus on the patient journey, right? And that end result, their testimonials, their what it was like to come in and actually get the procedure and what it's like afterwards now,
mhm,
how their life has changed. And so we kind of use those 2 things to really create a lot of buzz and a lot of organic traffic on our social media sites. And so like I remember like one of the funny stories was like my brother who is a dentist and he works at one of our offices in media, PA, and he came to me one day and he's like, dude, what are you guys doing on social media? He's like, it's crazy. He's like, people are coming in and going, you're that famous dentist. And he's like, "I am not a famous dentist. I just come here and work every day." And they're like, "No, no, no, I see you every
Authority.
day,
Yeah.
all coming up on my feed all the time." And so, like these patients would come in and they already felt like they knew him. And
Mhm.
that makes that sales process that much easier, that comfortability.
Yep.
And then the doctor's basically gonna educate them on what they need, but they've already been educated before they come into the office.
And let's not, let's be honest too. I think that you also have, and probably still have a certain amount of like entrepreneurial kind of hustle where, you're willing to do the work to get new business and and find new ways to grow. I thought where you were going with Facebook is when you were actually responding to comments and getting people from the comments into a DM and then scheduling consultations. That was gangster. I remember you were doing that in the
Well, I try to teach scalable things.
I know, I
You
know, I
know,
know, I know.
when I teach doctors, I don't teach them, things that they're not gonna be able to do. But, you know, but that goes back to, uh, the response time, right? And that's why
Yeah.
the AI is great because, I would be working, and what we did, instead of having them go to a landing page, I would just have, the call to action button be a messenger on Facebook, and I was the admin on all of our Facebook pages. Now, this was when we were at, like, 3 or 4 offices. When we got to 9, I had to tap out. There's
Right.
many messages. But but people would message me, and I would answer their questions and then move them kinda down through the sales process and get them scheduled,
Mhm.
and I think it was an advantage because of how quickly I could respond, whereas, someone clicks and it takes you to a landing page, and they go in and they put their information and they hit send, and then it's
Yep.
like, okay, how long till you get a response, right? And then they're on to the
Mhm.
next thing, or they're at work or whatever. But man, they would message me on Facebook and like they'd be astounded, like, "Hey, I'm right here. What's up? What do you want? What questions can I answer?" And then I would have a full blown conversation with them and get them in the door.
Yeah.
And so that was a big advantage. But that I think I always talk to docs about that. I'm like, I don't expect you. You're in the chair doing surgeries. Like
Yeah.
and I don't expect you to be with. Like at the time, I was single. Now I have
Mhm.
kids. Be no way I could do it now.
Mhm.
When you probably go home and you have kids and, like, I don't expect you to be on Facebook Messenger, like I was, like a madman, but that just goes to show you if you've got someone, and that's where AI is great with that,
Yep.
that's immediately responding and answering questions, you've got them right away, and, in this time of, instant gratification, if you can give that to the patient, then you're more likely to get them, and get them in the door.
Yeah, yes, no, it's not as scalable, but it is, and we do have AI and things like that. You guys know I've got Cortex that does the 24/7 response time, right? So this is just it's inspiring. I think that you've been able to kind of pivot, because you're not actively using your dental degree, right? You're straight on the bit. You're all business,
All
right?
business. Well, that was always the plan from the beginning.
Well, why did you become a dentist?
Well, so, the I like dentistry, I enjoyed it, but my dream when I became a dentist was, initially it was I wanted to own, a few different practices and actually, like, the exit plan would be, to create a C-suite and just and oversee
Yeah.
management of those offices like that, I always had the understanding from the beginning, that as interesting and as enjoyable as dentistry is, it's based on your time.
Mhm.
And if I was going to get to financial freedom as fast as possible, I was going to need to be able to multiply my time out
Yeah.
and delegate and become a business owner. So that's why in 2018, when I had the opportunity to actually take over and manage multiple offices, I said, this is always what I wanted.
Yeah.
Jumping on this. And, you know, over time, we never know where we're gonna end up, and how things are gonna change. And, I coulda went back into dentistry after I had, exited from, the DSO that I was a part of. But the entrepreneur spirit kinda grabbed me and I saw an
Yeah.
opportunity and, I feel like if I can affect and help many doctors then that are helping many patients, then again, I'm multiplying my effect much more than me being in a chair seeing one patient at a time or a couple patients.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, I like out of all the companies you've got, what's your primary focus right now? And let us know how we can find more information about said primary focus.
Absolutely. Well, I think I didn't even mention the name of my other one. So it's called Smile Score Solutions.
Yes.
And that is, and it's smilescoresolutions.com. That's the actual one that helps the patients with their credit score. So we just launched it. Very, very excited for that. And I'm going to be putting that very soon on our Full Arch Buying Group, which right now is my main focus.
Mm-hmm.
So fullarchbuyinggroup.com. And you can reach out to me at Jonathan at thefullarchcoach.com. And I'd be happy to send out a informational email. Kind of gives you a whole rundown of what we're all about and what all our different services that can help you be more successful. And then on top of that, I give all of my new members a 2-month free trial membership. There's no commitments, no contracts. I want you to try it out. It has to make sense for your business.
Yep.
I want it to be a win for everybody. So you get to try it out for a few months and decide and cancel anytime. And then if you'd like to stay a member, there's just a monthly membership fee for that.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Love to see it. Love to see you grow. And guys, this has been yet another episode of the Power Moves Health Marketing Podcast. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this everywhere podcasts are playing and on YouTube as well. Thank you, Dr. Jonathan Theis. It was a pleasure. I'll see you guys next week. Hey, y'all, thanks for tuning in to Power Moves Health Marketing Podcast. If you're ready to transform your practice with smarter strategies and cutting-edge tools, I want you to head over to microsite.com to book a strategy session with me and my team. While you're there, check out the show notes for links, resources, and my free Power Moves playbook. Remember, every move you make is a step toward becoming the health business leader you're meant to be. Let's keep building your momentum.